Hello and welcome to TFT Worlds Day 2, game number 5. Enjoy.
He had the unstable evolution, bioleeching not the most attractive of mutant traits to go for, and in this case has to pick up the second win instead. But already maybe starting off not in the best spot for Lucas. You're going to have an uphill battle throughout this stage 2.
Yeah, and he found the Lucian so early, a unit we know he loves, but we're gonna go over to Quan Lan, who has also shown very interesting compositions, especially compositions that featured a Clapio or Colossus in general. Is something they really like playing apparently, so maybe this could be an angle here. Has the Hex Tech 2 for now, just to have a functioning trade going into the first PvP rounds. We're going to slot Team Morgana in for extra board strength and a little more beefy frontline. Really love that unit. I think it's so fun. Back when Syndicate was actually more commonly played before 12-7, I think that was one of my favorite units. But yeah, happy to see her come back occasionally. Played from Lucas at Worlds, for example.
And Quan Lan picks up the hyper roll, going to play for a win streak throughout this stage 2. A player that, one of the Chinese players that definitely likes playing from ahead and from a win streak and with an HP lead most of the game. It has been working out really so well for him. Was number 1 in the day 1 standings once that day was over, and is now in the top 3 for day 2. So maybe the most consistent and maybe the strongest performing player in all of the World Championship throughout these first 2 days. And right away, he really wants to start with the win here, but this Malzahar with a Gunblade is going to make things difficult, but not quite difficult enough. Ezra will ult a few more times, and the Swain will be able to clean up this fight and kill off the Zyra and get the first win here against Boyce.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught it, Panda, but there was a very interesting augment on Zabroisen's board. Did you see it?
I did not see it. I was too focused on Swain's.
Do you want me to tell you? It's Syndicate Heart.
I'm seeing it
picked
now.
up a Syndicate Heart.
I started, frantically searching around to get my answer, but it looks like Zbroysen, he got eliminated 8th in the last game, so maybe he was spectating Lucas's board and said, yeah, this does look pretty strong, and now decides to go for the Syndicate Heart himself. 3 Syndicate already has the Malzahar with a Gunblade. A pair of Malzahars actually so close to, if he's able to hit the upgrade, that would stabilize him for, an eternity almost, all the way to stage 4.
Yeah, I would really love that. Maybe we can make that happen, but with that Syndicate Heart also having the Syndicate trait early onwards with the Zyra and the Darius in the front line, really loving this output. Very strong board in the early stages, and maybe we're gonna see another 7 Syndicates. I would be so ready for this. After the game we just saw so many fun boards, I think that would be just great.
Similar to, kind of with Innovator Heart, it's a similar thing where you're able to get, to 5 Syndicate much earlier. You don't have to wait to hit the Ari and the Braum.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what everybody else is on to as we're gonna hop on over to Leo Lee's board, who, is looking like they're going for a certain direction with that Lucian and the Rage Blade already in there for Bruisers in the front line. What do you make of that, Panna?
It's, Lucian, we've been seeing him all day long. I think he is the mid-game carry that most of these players try and rely on because he does his job so well. And for Bruisers is a huge power spec in terms of having a stable front line without necessarily hitting 2 stars.
Yeah, and let's see what that Lucian does against the Broysen's Malzahar. Hasn't found the 3rd Malzahar yet, so no upgrade. The Gunblade is doing some work, but it won't be enough against these chunky bruisers in the front line from Leo Lee. Zabroisen was able to pick up 2 Cassidans, has sold 1 to get a little bit of an econ moment going into carousel, but overall we are also seeing that Altanawi has picked up the Tiny Titans, therefore on 121 HP, and then we have 3 players at 100 HP. Rest of the board following suit. Nobody too far off, I would say. Gubums with 80 HP, not a big gap, but then again we've only seen 3 PvP rounds just yet as we go into this carousel, and Zabroisen picks up a Malzahar.
And one thing to mention with Liu with his board as well, the 4 bruisers, he has phalanx as well. So he gets all that extra armor where the bruisers already have the HP, kind of shoring up the weaknesses or the downsides that the bruisers don't have right there, which is why he's looking so strong right now. And has, of course, you need some amount of damage or else it's going to be kind of a wet noodle fight, a very long one at that. But Lucian, fixes that. He has a Rage Blade, and in a stalled out fight, he's going to be able to end up doing a lot of damage there. You have a chance for an Arcanist spat on Lucian there, but you have a full bruisers board, so maybe not the ideal option to go for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think with the Yordles, you just want to keep on loose streaking and try to keep that moment going without losing too much HP. And then maybe we're going to see either Inno or an Arcanist moment. It looks like we're ready for both, looking at our bench, just depending on what we're able to hit. But we're going to go against Liu Li here with that Lucian, and one more time going to show what those bruisers do with the Phalanx Augment that you mentioned, Panda, and then in the back lane, the Lucian untouched, just firing away. Will even take out this brand too. Nevertheless, that it's only 1 cost units on Liu Li's board. You're so strong in the early stages.
Goobum's very happy with this fight though. The Ziggs and the Brand able to get a few kills. Still losing, still loose streaking, which is the goal here. You're trying to use the Yordles for econ, trying to race up to 50 gold as quickly as possible and manage that econ lead into a board strength lead going into level 8. And if, Goobum has been playing Sivir all day long for the most part, maybe try and race there and find those Sivers and those Aurelias before other players do.
Yeah, and we're gonna go over to Dudu, or actually gonna go back to Goobums. It seems like there's been a little freeze frame for a second there, but we should be back. And now we are on Lucas's board, who also is featuring the Lucian. What a surprise. I mean, I think at this point I expect a Lucian to be on Lucas's board when we hop on over there, but also the Yordles in there just for a little bit of extra econ. I think this is looking pretty solid, even against Zabroisen's Malzahar. It's doing quite a lot.
Yeah, you have the blue buff. It can just be a Lucian game, as we've seen Lucas pilot it to Fast 9 so often when he has a stable Yordle board as well. But it can also be now with the blue buff built going into Renata Bruisers later into the game, or just Ari with the Vertical Arcanist. Overall, Lucas is a player that feels very comfortable on AP, so I think he definitely knows how to navigate these different trees and go in the direction that he needs to in terms of what the game is offering him.
Yeah, and we're gonna go into the crux as we see what players pick up here, and we're on Duda's board now, who is trying to flex into Debonair. I think hasn't found that Leona just yet to really unlock the trait, but is running Scrap Bodyguard, was running Yordle maybe from what I can tell, and has a decent amount of gold. Will try to go onto 40 either by gold or drop, or by selling one of the Yordles on his board, I'm sure. But there comes a Gangplank, gonna sell that. There we go, 40 gold. We're gonna find a BF sword and a Chain Whisk.
And Dudu has the Syndra VIP, has one on the bench, the brand 2 star now. As you mentioned, might be considering going into a Debonair Scholar angle. Maybe a bit late to do so. You normally want to have a very good start if you want to go down that route, ideally with lifelong learning on Syndra. So yeah, I think this is maybe not the best time to go into it. Like we mentioned yesterday with Milk playing Tryndamere and a few other comps, there are many comps that are viable, but you have to have a very strong start and a very good reason to go into them. I think this start might not be strong enough for Dudu to go into Scholars.
Yeah, let's see what that Corki does. Corki, like Lucian, very good unit for the early to middle stages. But speaking of it, Liu Li's Lucian has found some more items now with the Static Phantom Morello, just doing so much to the enemy team. Again, untouched, nothing can reach him with the bruisers in the front line, and this 6 will not be an obstacle for him either. Going to take out the Ziggs and find another win. But Goose is actually win streaking on 100 HP.
And Liu Li, we saw there playing very aggressive, slamming items that are not necessarily best in slot for any of the, the high tier comps that players are playing for, but he has a strong start. He knows he has, but we just saw there Lucian 2 picked up for him as well. Has a strong front line. He's going to try and catapult to start slamming items to make sure he can continue win streaking and continue winning going all the way into stage 4. But it'd be really cool to see Goose's board, to see what exactly he's working with. But look at the roll down here. Swain 2 has been found. Can it fit in, I guess, over the Talon possibly?
Yeah, for now,
he didn't find the switch in time.
going to fight against the Bryson and not pick up this Swain, maybe not feeling too happy with it, or trying to pick it up at the last second, depending on how this game goes. Let's see what it does. The Zindra is doing quite a lot of damage with that Morello, and the Shojin should be enough to take out Zebroisen's board here, finds a win, and now we're gonna sell off some of the units on the bench to go to 20 econ, not buy that Swain here. But here's Altanawi, and he has a gangplank. Not enough against Gubums though.
Altanawi is still the HP leader, but that is because of the Tiny Titans augment. Looking now here at Gubums' choices, Exiles has not been the most appealing choice all throughout this set 6.5. Same can be said about his other options. Going to go for the 4-cost units here. Finds a Seraphine, a Vi, and Alistar. Not really units that you kind of build an entire comp around. So maybe hoping for more of a Sivir and Irelia, of course. In this case, that he's building AP, maybe an Ahri.
Yeah.
But instead, it can just be used, I guess, as gold. But at this point, at stage 3, the second augment, it's not really the best of positions to be in. Goose has all the tomes. He is a... He's gonna have all the knowledge. All the
knowledge. I mean, reduced bench space for now doesn't seem to need it anyway. It was win streaking for quite a long amount of time. Seems like Dudu has picked up the Tiny Titans here, spiking up in HP from what we've seen him before. But yeah, Goose's board, 2 domes. I mean, this could be very interesting depending on when he uses them and what comes out of them.
Trying to guarantee he gets the options he wants, or at least has a better chance of doing so. But we'll see what comp he goes into. Right now has a Zeke's build, pretty good indicator of possibility for Sivir, but his board is fully into AP right now with Arcanist. That being said, the items are very much AD preferences with the bow and the gloves on the Gnar as well, and the Zeke's already filled. So I do think he's going to try and find his way into Sivir while maintaining as much health as possible.
Yeah, you really think he's going to go into Sivir? Man, I would hate that. We've seen so much Sivir, I want other comps. But there is a Renata with a rod, and for anybody that's playing Bruisers, Leo Lee, that could be a really worthy pickup. But Gubum's gonna get it first, gonna run with it, not gonna be available for Leo Lee. And now we're gonna see what everybody else is going to get. Maybe the Seraphine also worthwhile if you want to summon Morello, but I don't think anybody's too much on an innovator moment for now. So last pick for the Lili here. Where are we going? Gonna go with the Chain Vest on the Morgana.
Who would have thought, with AD being so strong, a bow left as the last remaining item there on the carousel. And yeah, I mean, Goose, I don't want to spoil your party mix, but the Zeeks and just the items are really the ones that tell the story in terms of what direction he's going in. And he finds the Sivir and the Irelia in shop, and it might be time to start pivoting into the comp that no one has seen yet today.
Both of them at 3-5 naturally in the store. Well, sometimes you just gotta hit, right? Man, here it comes. 2 Zeeks on that Irelia, and now we're gonna spiral, but Kunlun has found an Ahri and a good, decent frontline, I would say. Not fully upgraded yet, but the Ahri's gonna do a little bit of work. Probably not enough to deal with the Sivir and the Irelia, do, from what it looks like. Those ults are bouncing off on that Ahri one more time. She can, well, maybe it will be enough. Looks like she can do it. And there's a win from Kwanlang against Goose.
And that Luden's deck going to work really well with Kwanglang's comp. Of course, he had the hyper roll to start things off, so a player that we expect to see doing pretty well in terms of the HP totals. And right away now, Goose says it's time. Ghost. Finds the scrap emblem, looking for maybe another scrap, another striker, the ones that are going to fit the best in this comp for the Sivir and the Irelia. Is now able to get 4 scrap thanks to that emblem. Whether or not
to take the second one, finds the second one, another scrap or a striker. Both of these really good options here. Gonna go with the striker emblem and gonna put that into his team. Is now a striker, a Ziggs for this moment, just to make that 4 striker complete.
RFC striker Ziggs, the nightmare no player ever wants to face. We'll see how he does going almost into the stage 4. But Irelia, also a menace, gets thrown back into the backline there. The fully stacked Syndra might be enough for Dudu here with this Irelia coming at her. The Gnar also thrown back. It's gonna be a close fight, but I don't think Brandon Zyra can do enough here. Gnar still too healthy, and Goose continues his reign of terror, having found the Sivir and the Irelia oh so early, and the perfect emblems: 4 striker, 4 scrap.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want to find. Goose must be so happy right now. But he's not the only player in this lobby that's doing good so far. I'm still seeing Leo Lee on fire up there, and Dudu, thanks to Tiny Titans, still looking pretty healthy as well. Goobums and Zabroisen really need to find a way back into the top 4, however. Their HP is not looking too sparkly. Definitely something we can work with. Something we know from Zabroisen is that he likes to drop down far and then work his way back up, but I always worry for these players when I see them drop, and here's another striker board with 4 scrap for striker.
And here's Altanawi, he's been playing AP the whole day. I go ahead and mention it, and all of a sudden, he's on 4 striker, 4 scrap, Sivir, Irelia. I will now learn to keep my mouth shut from now on for the rest of this podcast and not jinx things any further. But, well, not jinx here quite yet, but almost. That pun would have definitely going very smoothly. But Irelia, Sivir now itemized. Irelia, Zephyr though, and this might be what Goose needs to still maintain his win streak and continue winning in what is kind of a mirror match here.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've been seeing throughout all of today. I think the front line for Goose was also a little bit beefier than Altanawi's, but Altanawi has a Sivir on bench, as has Goose. So now it's going to come down to who can actually hit these units quicker to keep that ramp going. But Zabroisen and Goobooms, both of them found a win as well. So maybe they can actually spiral into winning from here on out. Gonna go over to Lucas's board, who's on Arcanist with a Kha'Zix. We're gonna sell that, and we're trying to find the Ahri too.
Galio coming in, 2 bodyguard with the Blitzcrank. Definitely
second
an
Galio
unusual
in
Arcanist
store.
board. But this is the
Finds
reason why.
2.
Normally if you find only 1 Galio, it's not strong enough because you're not really thinking about upgrading it. But finding 2 gives maybe Lucas the hope that he's going to be able to upgrade this and have a very strong late game board with Arcanist. It's usually calm that can't contest for a first or a second or sometimes a top 4. But Galio might be the difference maker if you find the upgrade. And Ahri as well, fully itemized. Battle Mage gets the extra AP for the entire team. This is why the positioning is like this, and also works so well for Ahri, but she gets eliminated there. And looks like the opponent's Ahri is just a little bit better right now.
Yeah, Frontlines Ahri doing the work. The Morgana again in the front line. 2-star Morgana, 2 defensive items on her. Just so good for now to handle all of the rest. And we're gonna find an upgrade on this Vex for Lucas here, who had only 1-star units up until now, but we don't have any gold to work with. We are on level 8, however, which is already good, but we need upgrades. So right now we're gonna bleed a little bit more until we are able to stabilize this board here.
Yeah, this board is just so peculiar because there's just no upgrades and there's 2 Ahris in. There's 4. It's just a very, very strange board. Maybe Lucas can make it work here with the Battle Mage buffing both Ahris, essentially kind of itemizing them both. And they are really well positioned. Ahri's a champion that it's a bit scary to put her in the front line, but she has so much more reach with her ult and can be so much more devastating. Like we're seeing here, fully kills the entirety of the board. And Goose is taken down here by an AP player.
Yeah, that Ahri really did him in for 3 items on her, really carrying this team fight. The Galio and the Blitzcrank in the front line doing the most they could, and it worked out. But we're gonna go into this carousel, and there's a Jinx with a tier. I'm curious to see who gets that one. Goobums is running, wants it, gets it, and Zabroisen will go with a Rod here.
Let's see what Goobums is playing at 35 HP, currently at the very bottom of the standings, and has to find a way to stay alive, to stabilize, and to fight against the stronger players like we've kind of seen in the last few fights, and kind of the direction some of these players are going for. It seems like they're going to be very strong. Goose especially, the Lee of course with a huge HP lead and a very strong early game. But what the rest of these players can manage. Spoyson with a Braum from the carousel finds an upgrade, so that is massive for stabilizing his front lane. Well,
Yeah, and
Darius,
a lot
maybe
of
not the upgrade
players
you want.
are now hitting level 8. Lucas already on 8, finds the Darius as an upgraded unit. Like you said, maybe not the one we were looking for, but here's another player that also has 2 Ahris, and it seems there isn't enough Ahris to go around. We're seeing an Ashe and a Jhin, a little bit of a clockwork moment, and the 5 syndicates. We spoke about syndicates a little earlier. with the win or second place from Lucas in the last game, showing that Syndicate's still viable if you want to run them, has also found the one for all. So really going into this trade here, but not enough for Sabroisen.
And the Irelia just feasting on these one-star backline carries that are just dying to essentially one ult. The single Braum 2 with a stone plate, not quite enough frontline to just sustain it and, you know, buy some time for the Aries to start scaling, unfortunately. So the Broisen's going to have a difficult time here at 25 HP. Goobum's also lost his last fight down to 28. And the choice here for Broisen, he has a chance for high 5. There's no 5 cost that really works with Syndicates now that Akali is no longer in the game. So maybe just for the gold, that might be the option here.
Yeah.
I guess Silco can sometimes fit in, but Silco kind of works against the Syndicate game plan of trying to sustain.
I mean, you could go with the Silco and then put the Ahri into the Silco spot and try to find another AP heavy unit just to really use that mana gain, I guess. Yeah, like the Victor. So we're now in 7 Syndicates, we managed it. Now what we really need to get going is upgrades, and with 11 gold there's not much we can work with here. We will try to stabilize somehow, but this front line is really squishy, and if they get to the Victor and the Ahri, it will hurt.
Yeah, the one good thing here, or at least the one thing that makes Silco work a bit better, is that it doesn't really have a super stacked Morgana or Braum that's tank forever. So he kind of maybe needs that power from Silco instead. And it'll be less of a sustain and more of a bursty comp with the Ahri as the main carry. And Victor, of course, trying to get those casts in early and get some unit kills here. Up against Goose, we'll see who's going to be able to do it against the Silver player who hasn't fully capped out just yet. But it looks like it's not enough.
No. That Jinx was just in everybody's face, completely untouched, not getting hit by any of the casts due to her abilities. But we're gonna go into the PvE round here, and maybe we can find some upgrades. Still holding on to the Orianna. I'm thinking about whether or not he should probably slot out of Syndicate 7, but I don't think that's the way you want to go here. Now that you've locked yourself into, you really need to roll and get the Morgana too. You need to definitely get the Ahri too, and that is maybe the only thing that can work for you right now if you're on 16 HP in this lobby, because boards like Goose's board are just they're gonna come for you, you know? There's nothing you can do.
Find some decent items here, can build maybe a JG, has an Edge of Night, which can be pretty good on Victor in terms of giving some defensive items as well. But as you mentioned, the biggest problem here isn't, I think, 7 Syndicate or 5 Syndicate. The biggest problem is the fact that his board is not upgraded at all. We're in stage 5. This is a time where you need to have your carries upgraded to 2-star. You're going to have a very difficult time. And Zabroisen is on 16 HP. He has to roll. He has to try and find upgrades. Finds a Zyra.
No,
but it's not quite enough, and he's...
Oh, I'm scared. I mean, he can probably tank another loss, but then that's it. We're fighting Goobum. Goobum has the Renata in the backline together with the Seraphine too, and these two are putting in a lot of work trying to get through here, but the Victor is enough to actually take the win here. Wow.
This is the difference facing off against an Irelia that's bursting down your carries much quicker. In this case, it was more of a sustained damage comp from Goobums and not quite enough to take down this Victor in time, where he's able to just cast way too many times. And Broisen has a chance to still find opportunities to find that RE2, to find some upgrades. And with 7 Syndicates, we saw Lucas getting second in the last game. It's not a bad vertical comp to go into, but you need to find those upgrades.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's looking for them right now. I'm not sure if he will be able to find them. We're going to see it on the right side of the screen. But right now, we are on Lily's board, who has found the Lucian early on, then found the Lucian 2 pretty early on. Surprised on hitting that Morgana 2 due to finding Draven 2. A bunch of upgrades to go around. But we are still in the Bruisers. We have a 3 twin shot here. Only a Jinx 1, but should be doing quite some work, and we're going to look out for that Lucian and what he does. But we're fighting Goose, and down comes the Striker Jinx, just firing off in everybody's face. There is nothing you can do against that. Gonna take a loss here.
And we knew from the mid game, you know, Goose was going to be one of the, or just the strongest player outright in this lobby, because he had Such a good start for that Sivir, Irelia, comp, Goobums. Takes a loss there against Kwanglan. We're seeing so many players on this AP Syndicate tree, which means that it's so much harder for everyone to hit. Kwanglan as well, playing Syndicates, Broyson as well, and it's getting really difficult, but Granada 2 is found here for Goobums. That is massive in trying to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, really trying to find anything here. 0 gold, nothing to work with. Wanted the Seraphine 3, but we're off 1 to actually hit it. We also would like to have that Zillion too. We're just moving around, trying to find a spot where we can work for going against Sudu, Altanawi, and Goose. And if we're actually going to hit Goose here, oh no! That is the board that's menacing in this lobby. Just look at the background. We have the Sivir ulting, constantly getting those blades going around. Down comes the Jinx, just firing off, and that will be it. Goobums is out, but Bryson might also be in trouble here. He's on 16 HP, still fighting his board. Lucas has lost down to 7 HP. And it looks like Bryson is fighting due to waiting for them to finish, and it looks like he lost 9 HP for Bryson. So Lucas and Bryson down to single digits, trying to make their way into the top 4 area.
It's no surprise, Bryson, Lucas, and Kwanglan all playing Ahri carry, all playing some kind of AP Syndicate tree, all 3 contesting each other, and now the bottom players in the standings for this game 5. Goose and Altanawe both on Sivir striker boards, and to no one's surprise, both doing very, very strong. We've mentioned it so many times before. You know, striker and Sivir is very, very strong. We have to find the right avenue to get into it with a high HP lead, with good items, and both players have done so. Altanawe and Goose, I think, will definitely be in the top 4. We'll have to see what Liu can do as well. Find the Jace too. That might be the way he stays in this game as well.
And due to finding that talent, Lucas has a Tamkench too as an option. Fully itemized Tamkench as well, but would need to sell that Galio in order to get it. Is he going to do it, or will he greed and hold on? Yeah, we're going to do it. We're actually selling something else. Okay.
And the thought there was, Galio is kind of my carry. I've itemized him. It is a Clapio build. You maybe want to go and try and go all in on this Galio and get into 2 stars if possible. But Tomken's 2-star with blue buff with JG might be enough to try and carry here for Lucas. He shifted off the Ahri when he saw he couldn't hit and is now on a legendary board. Will it be enough, though, to stay in this game? He's only at 7 HP. It looks like it might not be enough. Kwanglan with the Ahri gonna eliminate Lucas, and despite the great result in game 4, in game 5 it's a 7th. Bryson also taken down, ends up in 6th.
And we see Dudu and Goose fighting that Siri back there with the 1 HP just running away from the ZZ Rot minion, but will be enough for Dudu to find the win here. Devastating loss for Bryson and Lucas, I may say. Very sad to see them go out here, but we will focus on what's ahead, and that is these 5 players trying to make it into the top 4. Finds the Kaisa to upgrade. Dudu here making good on his promise to just play whatever comes to him, and absolutely hitting this unit here. Can also upgrade the Braum in the next round if we want to go for that. But yeah, what do you think of this board? 5 Debonair with the Kaisa.
I love it. The flexibility to find that Syndra early on VIP to make her game plan without necessarily going to the reroll angle, going for a fast take comp with now a very strong board with Zeri, with Kaisa too, as you're mentioning, and maybe not the usual cookie cutter comp you see in most tier lists, but still can be a very strong comp to top 4 at the very least.
Yeah, just look at that Jinx. I mean, I don't have any words for that. It's just firing off. There's nothing you can do. We're gonna go into the PvE round. Maybe there's something that these players can find here. There's a last whisper coming through for Dudu. We're on Leoli's board now that we just saw with the nearly fully itemized Jinx, 2-star Jinx, 2-star Jace. Just legendaries enough to go around. We have the Galio in the front line as well, would like to upgrade that. And here's Goose's board, being able to hit those strikers so early. By now, we're into 6 strikers, 6 scrap, and Altanawi is on 4 striker, 4 scrap. And yeah, that's what we're working with.
As far as I know, 6 is more than 4, so I do think Goose will be the one to take this lobby. He has just the highest capped comp when it comes to striker and scrap. He's level 9 as well. He has triple Zeeks and just is looking very, very strong. But we'll see. Kwanglan with his Ari carry with 5 Syndicate instead of 7 is able to make something work. He has Jewel Lotus. He has Luden's Echo. 2 very good augments that work well with his comp. But will it be enough with what is still a Braum 1, Victor 1, not necessarily a comp that is capped out already?
Ori 1. So we're looking if we can hit the Ari for RE3. I don't think it's an option right now, but we're just holding on to it for now and really looking for these items for Kwanlang here. But we're facing off against Dudu, and in the backline is a Syndra that's doing quite a lot together with this Kaisa, just knocking everything around. Gonna find a win against Kwanlang here as he's now down to 5 HP. Finds the Orianna. Small upgrade nevertheless.
There was a huge Zyra ult in that last fight, able to CC most of the damage carries for Kwanglan, and the Talon was on Ahri the entire time, but she was just very down on her HP when that damage came in from the opponent. But like you mentioned, this Jinx is looking so scary. Fully itemized, has a Rage Blade, has the Shiv, not the best in slot items for Jinx, but still, Jinx 2 in this set is so strong. You put almost anything on her, she will put in the work.
Yeah, let's see what we're working with here. Sivir in the backline, firing off. The blades are turning. The Jinx is gonna gun down, but so will the Galio. Sivir still fighting, but so is the Jinx in a devastating 1v1. The Jinx survives and finds the win against Altanawe here. And now Dudu is down to 5 HP. Kwanlang has been knocked out. We're on our 4 top players, and we're finding a second Jinx too, Panda, for Liu Li.
Oh no, is it happening, Mix? I don't want to jinx, I'm not going to say anything, but we're getting closer and closer to what could be a Jinx 3. And I take it back, the items I was mentioning, they're not so great because they're missing some sustain for Jinx, but there is Thrill of the Hunt, so it's actually the one missing piece that Liu Li needed. He needs some extra sustain so that Jinx can keep firing and healing herself as she got killed when she's on the middle of the board.
Yeah, and we're gonna see if Dudu has anything to show for against the double Jinx 2 in the backline. We see a Talon 1 trying to do anything against this Talon Blitzcrank 1. Syndra also putting in some of the work, but here comes the Jinxes just getting knocked down here for Dudu. Gonna get the 4th place, and Altanawe coming in 3rd. We're down to our top 2 remaining players, and Goose has just been win streaking for like 6 minutes or something. Like, I don't even know. This guy hasn't lost in forever. And Liu Li, yeah, just found a lot of upgrades.
Makes, you corrected yourself there and said that it was win streaking and not win striking, but I think it's win striking with the current board that Goose has here. 6 strikers, probably, 6 scraps. I think only Jinx 3 is going to be enough to stop Goose from winning this game. In the last fight, it was great for Liu Li because the Syndra was stuck on the Colossus and wasn't able to really pop off with her ult, which allowed Liu Li to maybe win that fight and eliminate Dudu. But now going into this final fight, it's going to be Jinx almost by herself with some support from Colossus and Silco, but little else, trying to fight off against the strongest comp in the game right now.
Yeah, and both of those Jinxes now with items in the Silco spot. One's gonna get Zephyr, the other one is still fighting. Down comes the Galio, trying to get everybody acroed. In the other side, there's a Sivir just completely blasting, taking out one Jinx, taking out the other Jinx, and Goose takes the win in her 5th game of today.
And he needed it. He was a player that really didn't have the best result in Game 4. Going into Game 5, gets the 1st place, and now in Game 6, he definitely has a very good chance of making it into Day 3 and of having some NA representation.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Goobums in the top 8, and now we're definitely looking at the other 2